Hello everyone, this is JPL back for another thought topic. If you're new to thought topics, then what this is, I'm presented with a thought or a topic that I'd like to go over, and I give my opinions on them. These are unedited videos. I do this so that I can give the feeling that if you were to come to me up in person, ask me this question, this is exactly how I would do it. Normally there's no edits, sometimes there are for certain reasons, but I like things to be natural and unscripted. So let's get going with this. So why do we like post-apocalyptic futures, you know? It's a very odd thing. Normally when we think about this, we think about zombies and shows like The Walking Dead or movies like DayZ. And like, whenever I do think about this, I always go back to a conversation I had with a friend years ago. This is back when DayZ came out in theaters, and we're asking about why do people get all excited about the concept of zombies and things like that, because they were very uninteresting to us. I'm not really interested about zombies. I'll explain why I do like the worlds, though. And he said the reason is because of the concept of the bandwagon. And the concept of the bandwagon is just, we have this guy who is just pushing a wagon, and he's trying to get the wagon moving, and another person comes up, sees this guy pushing the wagon, and he doesn't know where the wagon's going, and he decides, alright, I'll come and push it. And so he as well starts pushing the wagon. Then a couple more people come in, they see these two people pushing the wagon, and they decide, hey, let's do that as well. They don't know what's going on, but they're going to push the wagon. Then this happens over and over again with more and more people, until eventually you have this whole gigantic group of people pushing this wagon forward, not knowing where it's supposed to go. And that's where we have our concept of the bandwagon. It's a weird concept. If you take it literally, it makes no sense, but conceptually, it's absolutely fine. And I partially agree to what he said about that. I agreed to it back then. Now, not so much. Because through my experience, the things that made, the zombie movies or the other games or TV shows with the zombies taking over wasn't just, we like zombies. It was simply that we like the element of survival. We like the world around it. Personally, I liked them because of the world. I got more into this as I was being introduced to Minecraft. Minecraft was something very bizarre to me. When I started watching a walkthrough of it from Captain Sparkle's old survival, it was very intriguing to me. It was a world where we don't know what's going on. There's no story to it. It's just, we have the player going around, surviving with materials and stuff and building. And that was somehow intriguing. Because to me, it seemed like there's something hidden. There's a hidden story element where maybe something happened in the past, and we're now in our post-apocalyptic future with all this around, and we don't know why that's there. But it's our way of living. And like, the reason why that caught on to me so much is just for that whole thing about what happened to the world. It's one element that I really loved about Adventure Time, a weird show. But the thing that caught my attention was that Adventure Time took place in the future, where the advancement of humans already passed and went on through some kind of apocalypse, and now we're at this weird world that we have now. Going over that, it's just, you see elements Like at the bottom of the ocean, you see an entire city down there. You see just they're walking through the woods. You can see like normal objects, a missile over there, a skeleton over there. You see ruins of a city. And then we finally get the episode about the Ice King and his past, and you see an actual civilization, and you slowly get to see snow coming in. You get to see aftermath of some kind. We get the Lich, and it's just very intriguing to find the pieces about what happened there. Portal, I love Portal, partially because of the puzzles, but mostly because of the world surrounding it, especially the second Portal. When you go down where Cave Johnson is, we have this mystery. What happened to this facility? What happened to the world? This is obviously in the future with this advancement, but when you go outside, it's just primitive, and it's so intriguing because you don't know what's going on. You have Cave Johnson, you get a hint that he gets sick, we get to know how he dies. There's praying mantis men. You go and go through Half-Life, and you have these aliens that take over and the Combine, and it's like, do these fit? Do we have a complete story? Do we know how this world ends? And so, yeah, that's one huge element as to why we like post-apocalyptic futures. Take another example, Fallout. Fallout is a very popular video game where we take place 200 years in the future in the after the fallout of a nuclear fallout, pretty much. When if you're just playing for the zombies, it's just it doesn't really work too well. I'm there for the structure. We know what happens back then, so the mystery about the past isn't so much. It's what's going on now. What new law and order? It's not a simple zombie survival game. You have different creatures. You have the raiders, the humans that attack you. A very bizarre concept. Humans turn evil. You have these super mutants. Another bizarre concept. We have feral ghouls, much more like zombies. And then you have this whole structure of people, these soldiers with their suits of armor. You have the hierarchy, being all posh, the Commonwealth, as they would put it, and the High Wealth, I don't know, society, I don't know. The storyline of trying to get the world back to where it was. You're in a vault to survive. It's a lot of elements that's just very complex and intriguing because you don't know how this came to be. You don't know everything, and the thing that I like about it is that you're in familiar surroundings. The games take place in places that you can actually go to. The first game takes place in Virginia, I believe, so you can go and see the Washington Memorial, you can see the Capitol building, you can see the Jefferson Memorial. The fourth game, Fallout 3, and then you have Fallout 4. Fallout 4 takes place in, Boston, and there's actual places there that you can go to in real life, and we get to see that reconstructed into this game, and it's just cool as heck. You get to see real life things in this future, and that's not something that we normally see. So there are a lot of elements that make this different and unique. But these aren't always factors about being able to see these places, because they can be boring at times if you're just there just to see these future places and it's empty. One thing that attracted me personally when watching through the show Heroes is that there's an episode where a couple of our main characters get sent to the future, and they're just surrounded in buildings and no one's there because some kind of disease killed off almost all the people. And it's very intriguing because you want to know, okay, what happens? These are deserted buildings, and it's very unique. Another thing like The Last of Us, another very popular video game. I don't really care for the zombies per se. They're not really the main thing that we like about it. The thing that we like about it is we got to see the actual rise of the zombies, how that came to be for that very smart, short opening. But the thing about that game that you like the most isn't really the zombies, isn't really going around in familiar environments. The thing that I personally like the most about The Last of Us is the story. Story is very key in each element, you know. DayZ, if it was just a survival story about zombies, it wouldn't be as interesting. But there's an element of trying to find a vaccine so that you can give people a chance to survive. It's much more interesting. And so The Last of Us was a story about this guy and this little girl trying to go across the country because the girl has a cure for zombiedom, apparently. And another very intriguing concept. We never really get to see something like that. And so this entire game is about you bonding with this child as you survive the threats. The thing that attracts you isn't the threat itself. It isn't the environment. While the environment is cool and attractive, the thing that you like the most is the characters and their story. And that's why, you know, that game is very popular. You know, going after all the concepts, you know, I know why, you know, I like a lot of things. I don't get to talk about that a lot because it doesn't really come to question. And while I was thinking about this, trying to find, like, different way to think about it, I want to go over The Walking Dead. The Walking Dead, personally, I like the first season the most because there's just this mystery about how did this happen, and over this short 6-episode season, you know, you get to find out how this happened. And then the rest of the show, while it's still good and okay, it's just a matter of just surviving with really no plot points. You know, that's always been the plot point, but there hasn't been anything really there to just keep the attraction to it. The zombies, sure, they're cool, but I don't watch The Walking Dead for the zombies. I don't watch The Walking Dead for the bad guy humans. While I love Negan as the character, I don't really like how the show's going right now, where we have these two factors trying to fight each other off. No, I like it when they're going off into the wilderness, trying to find a new home. That was always my favorite aspect, where they're trying to find a home, but they're always met with resistance of some kind, and then they keep looking to all these different places. The last few seasons of Walking Dead I've not enjoyed because they stuck with the same places, and I get bored of the show now because it's like we're in the same place. I don't really care about the human villains taking over or the trash people. I want you to be out there where the zombies are, trying to live your life, trying to find a new home, not just living in the Commonwealth. And so you're faced with a lot of things about how we can make this concept good and attractive. You know, it's not about zombies, it's about the world and how you live in it. You know, another example that really doesn't really fit so well would be Shaun of the Dead. The reason why that's very attractive is because it's a comedy, and it's really funny, not because of the zombies in that world, it's just because it's funny. Not really a good example, I just want to point it out there. But the example that I found surprising when I was thinking it through is actually the world of Bionicle. If you don't know the plot about Bionicle, that's fine, but the basic premise of Bionicle is that you have these people, or characters, that live in the island of Matsunui, where they face the threats of the Rahi from the Makuta. And, you know, while I was thinking this through, I thought, wait a minute, Bionicle, the world of Bionicle is actually post-apocalyptic, because Matsunui was not their original island. The Matoran, the village people, they initially came from a city called Matsunui, and the reason why they had to leave was because the Makuta, the main villain, rose to power in secret, put all the Matoran to sleep, and put them in canisters. And so our heroes, the Toa, had to rescue them and put them in another place. And while they were doing that, there was this horde of the Vizrak giant spiders came in, and so it became more of a mission to get the characters to a new island where they can protect him, and then that became their island home, very peaceful, until the Makuta found them, and then things go over and know where the story goes on. And I found that to be a really cool just point as like, oh, this itself is post-apocalyptic because it makes sense. I know there was a reason why I was always attracted to Bionicle. Like other things, even just dystopian futures, which aren't really post-apocalyptic. It's the future. We don't know what happened. We don't know how this thing came to be, but we like how it is. It's why we like stories like The Hunger Games, even though it's not really good. It's why, personally, I love The Giver and that series, my favorite series of all time. It's why we like The Maze Runner, because, we don't know how this came to be. Well, they do explain it, but, why. So yeah, there are many reasons why we like post-apocalyptic futures. It's why we like dystopian futures. And I don't know where I went. This is a thought topic that went somewhere and then it's lost. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.